What's up, everybody? Tonight we're going to talk about the controversial stoppage with Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley and more when we come right back. Welcome to another episode of Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. I am Bean. And we're going to jump right into the boxing, but right before I let that jump off, man, it's been a crazy few days. I want to say RIP, rest in peace to my big cousin, Derek Grissom. No love for cancer, y'all. Cancer has always been a big plague, and I've lost quite a few family members and friends due to cancer. So it's one of them things. All we can try to do is preventative maintenance to some degree, but we don't really truly know the true cause of why people develop cancer. So like I said, rest in peace, cousin. Love you and miss you. All right, y'all. So we're gonna talk about Friday night's fight first. Shout outs to Ferris Dixon Jr. out of Detroit, Michigan. Salute to him for his second round TKO of Willie Harris. Dixon Jr. record now stands at 7 wins, 1 loss, and no draws. So big shout outs to Ferris Dixon Jr. And if you didn't see, about a week or two ago, I did an interview with Ferris Dixon. So make sure you tap in. If you play it back, make sure you hit the thumbs up button on there and drop some comments. And go to YouTube and check out a few clips of Ferris Dixon Jr. All right, so let's talk about my experience this past Monday for the birthday memorial celebration of the late great Aaron Pryor Sr. of Cincinnati, Ohio, my hometown here in the USA. Aaron Pryor Sr. was born October the 20th, 1955. So I had the honor of meeting his son, Aaron Pryor Jr. I met his kids, his wife. I met Cincinnati boxing legends that I got to meet once or twice before, but it was always good to see them. I got to see Nate Tubbs again and his brother Tony Tubbs at this event at the La Rosas on the west side of Cincinnati. Timmy Austin of Cincinnati was there. Rave and others were also in attendance at this really lovely event, y'all. Now, when you think of the late great Aaron Pryor Sr., better known as the Hawk, his fighting style, from what I heard, was a Polish fighting style. He had a fight, or he was over in Poland, and they said he saw another fighter, and that's kind of how he adapted his style. It's a very, very aggressive style, very, very different. And if you ever see an Aaron Pryor fight, you're never going to be disappointed because he brings the action. In every fight, he brought the action. He fought guys like Montilla. The most notable fights when he had 2 fights with Alexis Arguello, the 15-round fights with him. He fought Blackmore, and I want to say he only lost 1 fight. So he's one of those guys that stands out in boxing history, but he's also underrated, I feel, and he never got his flowers, I don't feel like, while he was here on Earth. But I'm happy that they did do a memorial celebration for him. So like I said, shout outs to all the Cincinnati legends that were there, to his son, Aaron Pryor Jr., and his family. And just speaking of Aaron Pryor, because I'm a huge fan of the legend Sugar Ray Leonard. And word is, even Sugar Ray Leonard didn't want any smoke with Aaron Pryor at 140 pounds. So he definitely had a remarkable career, and he's definitely a top tier fighter, and his legacy will be cemented as a legend forever in boxing history. So big shout outs to the late great Aaron Pryor Sr. Shout outs to all the Cincinnati boxing legends, past and present. All right, so let's talk about last night, Saturday night, light heavyweight division fight. Ezra Taylor versus Steed Goodall. Ezra Taylor last night advanced to 13 wins, no losses, no draws. He's hailing out of UK, age 31, and you could definitely see in this fight that it wasn't an easy stoppage win for him. Ezra was hitting Steed Goodall with some heat, some nasty combinations that Steed was still able to shake off these shots and kept coming forward. Eventually, Ezra Taylor, being a step ahead, and he was able to push the pace a tad bit more. In the ninth round, Steed Goodall's corner threw in the towel. What I believe to be the ninth round, if I'm not mistaken. So it was definitely a good win, but it was not an easy win for Ezra Taylor last night. And by the way, the trainer of Ezra Taylor is Malik Scott from over here in America, who was also the brother slash ex-trainer of former champ Deontay Wilder. Let's talk about the main event and the controversial stoppage. Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley. Joseph Parker is a New Zealand boxer by way of Samoa, his Samoan heritage, versus Fabio Wardley, who is considered a white collar fighter, who is from United Kingdom. Now, the first thing that kind of like had me scratching my head a little bit was the not necessarily the weight disparity between the two, but just the fact that why was Joseph Parker weighing 262 pounds, right? And that's a question that I talked to Richard Dickinson about over in UK. And he was asking me my opinion on that. So I kind of wanted to cover it, some things I had seen on social media in this segment tonight. 262 pounds, he carried it well, but I still feel like carrying that much weight is a big factor in the overall result of the fight. Joseph Parker is a person who could brawl, but he can also box. So he's like a mixture of a brawler and a boxer. He can move pretty swiftly on his feet, but he could also get in the trenches and go toe to toe. And he has a pretty good chin. Now, people use the term chinny way too loosely, but if you ask me, there's no way I could put him in a category of being chinny. Joseph Parker has fought some bangers, some heavy hitters. He fought Andy Ruiz back in the day for the WBO belt. He fought Anthony Joshua, another big hitter, back in his prime of Anthony Joshua's prime. He fought Dillian White, known for his left hook. And it even dropped. He even dropped Parker with his left hook, and Parker got back to his feet. Zhilei Zhang, another power puncher, a huge Asian southpaw fighter, dropped Joseph Parker twice in their fight, and both times Joseph Parker got back to his feet. So not only does he have a good chin, he has good recovery. The only time Joseph Parker was ever knocked out is when he fought Joe Joyce. And that was due to the fact that Joe Joyce, although he's kind of slow, he's like the Energizer Bunny, and he never stops. So he's not the fastest with his hands, but his foot movement is not that slow. And once he keeps coming in at you, he's just throwing constant punches, constant punches, constant punches from round 1 to mid rounds. And then eventually it caught up in the 11th round to where Joseph Parker was able to stop and knock out Joe Joyce was able to stop and knock out Joseph Parker. Now, let's just talk about like things like, the punch and power, the one-hitter quitters. You got your one-hitter quitter like a Deontay Wilder, for instance. Or we could even put Fabio Wardley somewhat in that context as well. Now, with Joseph Parker, it wasn't a one-punch knockout type of scenario. It was constant grinding, constant coming in, constantly coming in. And as Joseph Parker is catching him cleanly with some heavy shots, Joe Joyce was able to sustain with his chin resistance, and he was able to take the best punches that were being delivered by Joseph Parker. But yet and still, it never stopped Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce kept coming in from round 1 to round 2, round 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth, all the way up to round 11. And eventually, he was able to grind him down and kind of wear him down, if that makes sense. But it wasn't a one-punch knockout. It was an accumulation of punches round after round after round. So with Fabio Wardley, his style is different than that of Joe Joyce. Now, we saw the last fight with Fabio Wardley when he fought Justice Huwney. I want to say Justice Huwney is out of Australia. And Justice Huwney was outboxing him the entire fight. So he actually had a great game plan, actually. Justice Huwney had a perfect game plan because if you go back and watch the fight, he was winning every single round up into the championship rounds, where he was unfortunately caught and knocked out by Fabio Wardley. That being said, when you see a person like Justice Huwney have the type of success he was able to have, he was able to negate a lot of things that were coming from Fabio Wardley. That's the angle that Joseph Parker should have took. He should have took more of a scientific boxing angle. Keep moving. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Outpunch your man, keep moving. And if you get an opportunity to go for the knockout, then you go for the knockout. But what I felt like, it wasn't so much of Joseph Parker saying, I'm coming to win tonight. In a sense it was, but he was coming more or less to knock him out versus saying, I'll let the knockout come. And if the knockout presents itself, I'm going to jump on Fabio Wardley if I hurt him. But Joseph Parker, he kept saying in the press conferences, hey, I plan to knock him out. And I think sometimes when you do that, you put yourself at a higher risk, because now you want to go toe-to-toe with another power puncher that hits a little bit harder than yourself, and you're going to use and exert more energy. Whether you're landing punches and when you're missing punches, you're going to exert a lot of energy. On top of the fact, like I said, Joseph Parker is weighing 262 pounds last night. I think that was either his career highest or his second highest weight ever in the ring. That's pretty heavy for him. Although, like I said, he carried it very well, but still, I feel like one of your best assets when you are Joseph Parker is the fact that you can box. So use your mobility, but your mobility can be slowed down by extra weight, whether it's an extra 20 pounds, 25 pounds, or whatnot. I think he would have looked good maybe if he weighed even 245 pounds, because A lot of times guys think that having extra weight on them is going to make them take the punches better from the opponent. In the same aspect, they also feel like having more weight is going to help them hit harder. And to me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If Joseph Parker was able to buzz certain opponents and still win fights, whether he was weighing 245 or 240 or 250 or 255, stay at a certain medium when it comes to your weight. Don't go way up to 262 and then you're caught in a situation like you are with Fabio Wardley, because now you're going back and forth. Both guys are showing signs of fatigue as the fight progresses down the stretch. So now you're in the championship rounds and it's a lot of back and forth, right? So now it's just a matter of you got two tired heavyweights in there, two big guys. One guy 240 something, Joseph Parker 262. So now you got these guys in a firefight. Now the production of their punches is declining on both ends. So now it's a matter of who's going to be the one to get that second win. Who's going to dig in just a little bit more. And the younger Fabio Wardley was able to kind of get that second win to an extent. So in the round 10, what we saw towards the end was him emptying his clip. You know, lefts, rights, body shots, upstairs and downstairs. And you saw it take an effect on Joseph Parker as he was, unloading on him with different various combinations and had him going back up against the ropes. So in my mind, I'm like, oh man, Joseph Parker's in trouble right now. But it just so happened, it happened towards the end of that 10th round, and the bell rung just in time, and Joseph Parker was still on his feet. So that definitely shows he's a gladiator and a warrior, has a good chin, but sometimes what's good, sometimes people, what's good about you, like the fact you have a good chin, you are a warrior. You'll sit there and take unnecessary punishment. I was hoping Joseph Parker was going to clinch. I was hoping Joseph Parker was going to move a little bit more. You're hurt, so cover up good, clinch your guy. If you can sidestep and move around a little bit just to kind of like try to get your gather yourself again or whatever. But nah, he was fortunate that the bell ended at round 10 when it did. So now you're in a situation where you have two more rounds left. Round 11 and 12, 6 minutes collectively. So boom, here we go, round 11. They meet again in the center of the ring and they're throwing shots. Well, about a minute and a half in to the 11th round, Fabio Wardley turns up again, body shots, and catching Joseph Parker up against the ropes once again. Now, in this time, if you look at the slow motion, you do see some punches being deflected by Joseph Parker. But like I was telling people, this is not a case of you fighting like, for instance, Tyson Fury versus Vlad Klitschko. Fury was kind of like on his toes, and he really wasn't sitting on his punches. He was kind of just flinging that punch, tap, tap, pot shot, pot shot. This wasn't that case. Fabio Wardley, all 240 plus pounds, was sitting on every punch. So even though he was hitting gloves, that still was, a lot of extreme power. And then for the ones that slipped through and did connect, these were sitting down punches with a 240-pound guy connecting on Joseph Parker, a few years younger than Joseph Parker. So that being said, I kind of understand the controversy to where people say it was the 11th round. It was getting close to the end of the 11th. All Joseph Parker had to do was survive the 11th round and then make it through just one more round. But in that short period of time, you just don't know the effects because, see, Joseph Parker is not one to take a knee. Joseph Parker is not one to cave in. You know what I'm saying? He's going to be a warrior. He's going to go out on his shield and stuff like that. So in a sense, I'm kind of on the fence about it. At first, I was kind of salty, like, oh man, this is a bad stoppage. You know, I'm looking at TV, like waving my hands, like, man, that's a bad stoppage. But then I'm sitting back, like, hold on, though. Was it a bad stoppage? So I want to know y'all opinions in the chat room. A part of me says it's a bad stoppage because he did take more punishment in round 10, the prior round, that he did in the 11th round. But I understand the stakes were high. This fight was for the fact that should Parker have won, he would have been next in line to fight Alexander Usyk. So there was a big golden prize at the end of the rainbow, or whatever. Like the pot of gold was right there, right? He could see it, just like Fabio Wardley could see it. Well, so I understand some people are going off on social media and different YouTube channels calling it a robbery, saying that, hey, they stopped the fight too early. They just didn't want Joseph Parker to be the winner because he was up every bit of, I would say, at least 3 rounds. A lot of people say 4 rounds. I heard some people say 5 rounds, but at least 3 rounds. I have to go watch the fight again, right? But I definitely had Joseph Parker up and winning that fight. But at the same time, to take sustainable punishment while you're still standing on your feet, I felt like maybe the ref stepping in, it benefited Joseph Parker in the long run. Because like I said, you could be brave, too brave for your own good. And Joseph Parker has a warrior's spirit and mentality. He don't know when to stop. Kind of like a pit bull. You see videos where you see a pit bull go through things that are not even, you wouldn't think there would be possible. You know, you can beat them with a thick stick or with a bat or with a steel pipe, and sometimes a pit bull is still coming. Well, Joseph Parker has that mindset to where he don't know when to stop. So I think sometimes a ref's job is to intervene if they feel that you're taking too much sustained punishment. And in the moment, from the eyes and seeing the way that Wardley was swinging, although some of those punches might have been slipped, some of those punches might have been deflected, but from the view of the ref and it happening so fast, I think he just was like, I've seen enough. It was definitely a decision that would that changed the whole landscape of that fight. You know what I'm saying? Because Joseph Parker was up. But like I said, back to Justice Huey, I think that was the blueprint. I think that Joseph Parker should have took that blueprint from Justice Huey and did a lot more boxing. Then in the later rounds, if he saw signs of fatigue by Fabio Wardley, then you ram it up. Then you accelerate now. It's your time to go. You can really explode. But I think weighing 262 pounds definitely worked against Joseph Parker. I think, like I said, he was going for that knockout, and sometimes the knockout don't always happen. So then you only have the decision, if you make it that far, to go by. So I think Joseph Parker had the wrong game plan, and I understand Andy Lee being a crunk trainer. That's their discipline, is to stop your man, is to knock out or TKO your opponent. But not all the time will that happen. So it is what it is. I just want to know y'all opinion in the chat room. Let me know what y'all feel. Was it a justified stoppage, or was it a premature stoppage? Please let me know. All right. So, and right before we, because I'm talking about Joseph Parker, I mean, he's a person who deserves his flowers. So let me go ahead and give it to him. if nobody else gives it to him. Joseph Parker is one of those fighters to where people may say his record is not the best record, but to me, he aims to please the fans. We sit here and whine that the best are not fighting the best. And what Joseph Parker has done for the sport, people like Derek Chisora has done for the sport, and there's a handful of other heavyweights. But these guys are fighting everybody, win, lose, or draw. So we shouldn't necessarily be so critical of them because he's a throwback fighter. Joseph Parker fought Andrew Ruiz. That's one. He fought Anthony Joshua in his prime. That's two. Dillian White. That's three. Derek Chisora twice. But I ain't going to say, I'm going to say Derek Chisora twice still as one person. So that's four people. Zilly Zhang, Martin Bacoli, just fought Fabio Wardley, Deontay Wilder. That's like 8 opponents that are all dangerous opponents, pretty much. And he's fought all these guys. So I'm just saying, put a little respect on his name, on his resume, and his mindset that, hey, I'll fight anybody. Because for real, this fight shouldn't have never happened. The Fabio Wardley fight shouldn't have happened. He was supposed to fight Usyk, as we all know, but what happened was it kept getting postponed for unforeseen circumstances on the end of Usyk, like injury or whatever, or Usyk. I think Usyk said he had an injury at some point, and then another time he said, "I want to spend time with my family." So Joseph Parker just sitting around like, am I going to get my title shot with Usyk or what? And as we see, as a consequence to him waiting but not wanting to be the type of guy to just take the easy fight, he steps up to fight a younger Fabio Wardley, who may not be as experienced, but the man has knockout power and he has decent speed. And we saw last night, he was stopped in round 11. So all that being said, big shout outs to Joseph Parker. Also shout outs to Fabio Wardley, because now that's going to set up the fight with Fabio Wardley versus Alexander Usyk. So let's talk about that a little bit. Now, with the upset that happened last night, Fabio Wardley is in position to where it happened very fast for him. This is an up-and-coming fighter who wasn't very, very seasoned, but he believed in himself. So respects to Fabio Wardley for sure. Now, him fighting Alexander Usyk, in my opinion, I want to know yours. I feel like styles make fights, right? That being said, although Fabio Wardley stopped Parker last night, I feel like Usyk beats both of those guys. I feel like Usyk will beat Parker. Usyk will also beat Fabio Wardley, right? But although Fabio Wardley stopped Parker, I still feel like Parker gives Usyk a tougher fight. Stylistically, I feel style-wise, Parker would be more difficult for Usyk. Fabio Wardley kind of fits into the mold of what Usyk has already seen. If you look at Dubois and AJ, two big punchers, two guys that are somewhat said to be like the bodybuilder type of fighters. So you got these two big guys. So the key to victory for Usyk was his faster movement, his faster hands, his lateral movement, his faster feet, his ring IQ, his ring generalship. So now you throw in somebody like Tyson Fury. He's tall. He's a tall, big guy. But what makes him different from AJ and Dubois is Fury is also a mover. So now you give him Tyson Fury twice. And Fury came up short twice against Usyk, right? Fabio Wardley kind of sits in between Dubois, AJ, and Fury. He's not as elusive as Fury. He doesn't have the head movement of Fury. He doesn't have the footwork of Fury. He doesn't have the ring IQ of Fury. But he does have the power of like an AJ or Dubois. He does have that power. So like I say, I feel like Usyk has been there and done that. He's just going to do him like he did Dubois or AJ. Now, I think that it'll go the distance possibly. It may go 12 rounds, or it could even be a late stoppage. Like the championship rounds, Usyk could probably stop him due to Fabio Wardley getting fatigue. Now, people felt like the blueprint was to go to the body of Usyk. If you go to the body of Usyk, people feel like you will slow him down, right? AJ went to the body in the rematch a lot more. Fury started going to the body. Dubois attempted to. So I really don't see what Fabio Wardley could bring to the equation that Dubois, AJ, and Fury couldn't bring. So I want to know y'all's opinion. What type of chance do you give Fabio Wardley when he does fight Alexander Usyk? Like I said, I feel like Usyk is going to win by decision or late stoppage. I'm not going to bet against Usyk. For Usyk to be defeated, in my opinion, it's going to take another fighter who fights something like nobody else out here. If you're just a power puncher, because to me, Fury had more all around ring IQ, generalship, footwork, all that, head movement, and even he didn't beat Usyk. So it's going to take a very talented, special fighter to be able to beat Usyk. Shout out to my dude Jack over in Europe. He feels that if anybody could beat Usyk, potentially beat him, not saying that they would, potentially beat Usyk, it would be the up-and-coming Moses Ntuma. And that's not even guaranteed. Now, what may help Moses Ntuma is he is a southpaw as well. So I don't know if Usyk has fought many other southpaws. Most of these guys he's beating are guys that are right-handed, orthodox. So that could be something thrown in there that could make it a more interesting fight. Moses Ntuma versus Usyk. So the heavyweight division, it's a lot going down. We also saw during that, after that fight or prior to the fights yesterday, Derek Chisora saying he wanted a trilogy fight with Dillian White, and Dillian White said he wanted a trilogy with Derek Chisora as well. Their first two fights were wars. The first fight, somewhat controversial to where people felt Derek Chisora edged that decision. And then in the second fight, he was caught by the infamous left hook of Dillian White, and he was knocked out. So if they fight a third fight, it would definitely be a war. And then you got Big Baby Miller out here, who we don't know how good he is. We just know that he's a big unit. He's a real big dude. He got a pretty good chin because we saw him versus Dubois, although he was stopped like in the last round. But he has a good, sustainable chin. And he has a decent engine for his size. So maybe Big Baby Miller versus Moses Ntuma. That would definitely give Moses and Tuma some rounds, and we'll see if he can stop Big Baby Miller, because Big Baby Miller only been stopped once, but he's never been knocked out. So, do we feel that Moses and Tuma would be the first to possibly, if he did fight Big Baby Miller, would he be able to knock him out? So let me know what y'all think, y'all, in the chat room below, for sure. And let me tap in one time, y'all, and see what the chat room. Is anybody in the chat room? Okay. Greetings, Cuzzo down south. DD, what's going on, cousin Scoob, Zone 15? What's up? Rex, hey, thanks for stopping through, man. And you said the stoppage wasn't bad. Okay, man, that's fair enough. Michael Ware, what's good? Michael Ware out of Cleveland, Ohio. But I know you're a Texas boy now. You moved to Texas, so you got that. Hopefully, you got some sunshine down there, man. Because back in Ohio, we getting that cold season again, man. And I'm not a fan of fall or winter, man. I want to move down south or west coast at some point when I retire. There's Scobie. It's Scobie time. What's going on, young brother? How you doing, young brother? Shout outs. Make sure y'all hit that thumbs up. Make sure you also share this, man. I don't care if you're in the working out at the gym, you got a fight party or whatever. Matter of fact, if y'all gonna watch the next couple fights coming on, or like the Jake Paul fight or whatever, I think it's a fight on next weekend over in UK. I have to do some research. But anyways, when y'all have these fight parties, or you just chopping it up with your best friend or your home, the donations up there for our Venmo right here, you can see it in the screen right there. So you want to help to support our channel? Hey, feel free. Anything's a blessing. All right, Des Scobie, you said Parker only been stopped twice by Joyce and now Wardley. Oh, for sure, bro. You are absolutely right. Michael Ware, they need to do a rematch in a neutral location. This is the second time Wardley has profited off hometown judges. Parker was even getting hit. Okay. Des Scobie, Justice said this is too easy. Des Scobie, Wardley world-class ability is his punch resistance. I agree, bro. I agree. Lex Rex, Wardley power is insane. Nothing like has been witnessed before. Yeah, man, he has very, very good power. And his leverage when he punches, every punch is with mean intentions. Very, very, very dangerous guy. Des Scobie, I don't think Parker respected Wardley's chin. That could be a part of it too, bro. I think it's a couple of different variables, but I definitely think what you just said, you hit the nail on the head with that one. I agree, Lex Rex. Parker did come in too heavy. 262 pounds was a no-no. Lex Rex, other than Parker, looks to be in prime form. Yeah, man. Des Scobie, you said, I think Parker was worried about being bullied on the inside. Yeah, he probably thought that if he came in heavier, he wouldn't be able to be bullied around, kind of like how Tyson Fury was bullying around Wilder, or how Tyson Fury attempted to bully around Francis Ngannou to no avail. He thought he was going to take an MMA guy and just have his way, and Francis Ngannou stood his ground. Yeah, Mike, where you said we was talking about the weight. Yeah, and that's why I wanted to discuss that here tonight because when we have certain conversations, I like to put light on it and I like to put it in a perspective of two sides of the spectrum. You know, like when it came to the controversial stoppage, I'm like, okay. At first, I'm like, how did y'all stop this fight? But then a part of me says, I'm looking at it from the angle of the people who said the stoppage was justifiable. Because I'm like, okay, I could also see where if Parker just kept taking punishment, hit after hit, and not going down, because like I said, he's a warrior's mentality. You don't want to take extra punishment, extra unnecessary punishment, blow after blow when it's not necessary. So I kind of understand to why the ref kind of stopped it. Although my first reaction was, why did you stop the fight? That was premature. That was, that was BS or whatever. I kind of look at it from both angles, man. I try to look at everything from a full rounded spectrum and perspective. Lex Rex, you said Team Parker. They wanted to get Fabio out early, so the extra weight was the game plan. Unfortunately, it would go against them if that early stoppage never came. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. For sure. Dez, you said, I thought the stoppage was early. Rematch should happen stateside. Okay. It's interesting. I like that because some people say it's early stoppage. Some people say it was justifiable stoppage. So we got people saying opposite stuff, but it kind of balances out the whole conversation. Anthony Rice. Shout outs to Anthony Rice and shout outs to Lex Rex because I think this is the first time I've seen y'all on here. So I appreciate y'all pulling up here at Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. You're always welcome. And every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we going live. So Anthony Rice, you said power, he threw everything and looked more out on his feet than Parker without the refs' help. Again, homegrown BS. Parker should ditch Frank the Snake. Yeah, some people are started with Frank Warren over this, man. Some people are definitely feeling some type of way with Frank Warren. So we'll see what the future holds in that regard. Dea Scobie. Wardley is a 7-round fighter. Well, I mean, and if he's a 7-round fighter, like you're alluding to, that's going to be an issue when he fights somebody like Usyk. Because Usyk is the type of dude that's built for 15 rounds. Although we only see 12-round fights in this modern era. Back in the days of Muhammad Ali, Aaron Pryor, who I spoke about earlier, them guys are fighting 15-round fights. Usyk has a type of conditioning to where he could last 15 rounds. So if you're a 7-round fighter or 8-round fighter and you're fighting Usyk, it's over because he's going to make you exert more energy because he's a mover. So you're going to be trying to chase him as he's sidestepping and using his lateral foot movement. As you're missing punches and swinging and hitting air, you're going to use a lot of energy. So Usyk, there's a method to his madness when he's in the ring. He's pretty much playing chess and not checkers. Usyk is he's a beast, man. Let me give it to him. That guy is a beast. And like I said, I don't really see anything that Fabio Wardley can do that wasn't already attempted from the perspective of Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, Derek Chisora, or Tyson Fury. None of those guys could unlock the code. I don't feel like Fabio Wardley is going to unlock the code when it comes to Usyk. I just don't see it. Lex Rex, you said Wardley is most dangerous when he's tired. Laugh out loud. Yeah, man. And some guys are like that, man. They're dangerous all the time because with Justice Huey, he caught him towards the end of the fight. So some guys they're dangerous every moment of every round of a fight. Your captain speaking band. Shout outs to you. I don't think we met on the ring walk until tonight, but I welcome you. You said Parker was biting on some lazy feints from Wardley. Yeah, man. And that's never good, man. That's never good. Shout outs to my guy, the boxing source. What up, bro? It's been a minute. Thanks for swinging through, man. You said Tarver said that Parker should have been holding. Exactly, bro. He should have been holding. And once he was able to kind of like recover just a little bit and clear his head or whatever, move around a little bit. It's like he was just standing there being a punching bag, man. And with somebody like Fabio Wardley, who's a knockout puncher, and who's sitting on every punch with leverage, you don't want to stand in that line of fire. You want to do like Justice Huey and move around in hopes that you don't get caught, like Justice Huey consequently did in the latter rounds of that fight. Yep. Already know this. Already know he is. Shout outs to my bro Cam J, who's going live. Shout outs to my family. Lex Rex, you said Parker shouldn't retire. I mean, he's built up so much as far as being on his winning streak, man. I feel like Parker, we know he has the type of heart. We know he can come again. I just feel like he has to work on, and his team, they shouldn't have him weighing 262 pounds. They should see the flaws in his weight. They should also see the flaws in him going toe-to-toe with every fighter. I can understand him going toe-to-toe with maybe a lesser puncher, maybe if he was fighting a scientific fighter who's not known for power. But when you're fighting a Fabio Wardley, or you're fighting like for instance, if he eventually fights Daniel Dubois, you don't want to always get into a firefight with a person who has a high knockout ratio. You're really rolling the dice at that point. You really are. Des Scobie, you said Parker resume great. Ruiz, AJ, Wilder, Zhang, Chisora, Bacoli, White, Wardley. Absolutely, bro. Spot on, man. That's why I got so much respect for Joseph Parker, man. Because he's fighting all these guys. He could easily sit back and be avoiding these type of fighters. Because come on, let's call a spade a spade. He's best friends with Tyson Fury. And of the names you just Tyson Fury fought. Tyson Fury never fought Parker. Tyson Fury never fought Ruiz. He's never fought AJ. He's never fought Zhang. He's never fought Bacoli or Wardley. So here's the thing now. Since we're talking about Fury, I don't like the way he's playing his hand. And please rebuttal or if you have a pushback, let me know in the chat. That's fine. I'm here for all the smoke. So what I'm trying to say is this. Fury, to me, seems like he's doing his best in every way possible to evade fighting Anthony Joshua. It's really strange when you look at the fact that when Tyson Fury did say he was making a comeback and made an announcement that he was coming out of retirement, he said, I want to fight Alexander Usyk a third time. I feel like I didn't lose both of those fights. So you have the energy and you're saying that I'll fight Usyk if I come out of retirement. I want a third fight. Now, many of us, we don't want to see a third fight. But why are you not having your sights on Anthony Joshua? You want to keep talking about Usyk. You want to keep fighting the same people over and over and over. Bro, we saw you have with Wilder, we saw you have a controversial draw. So then Wilder wanted a rematch because he felt like he knocked out Fury, and Fury had a long count when he was down. In the rematch, it was a whitewash. Fury dominated. He ran through Wilder in the second fight. Now the third fight was a good fight. Fury was dominating early, but then Wilder had his good moments to where Wilder was able to drop Fury twice. So it made the third fight exciting. Now, remember, in between the 3 fights he had with Wilder, he had threw in a fight with Otto Wallen and Tom Schwartz. So you fought 2 opponents you really didn't even need to fight. And then he also went and did the WWE. Remember? Fury went to the WWE. So you got all that shenanigans from Tyson Fury or whatever, and you're just stalling and stalling, and then you eventually fight Wilder in the rematch after Schwartz and Wallen. And then when the third fight comes around, you start playing around again and saying you're not going to fight Wilder because Wilder said certain stuff about the gypsy culture, this, that, and the other. So now you're not going to fight Wilder. So now you're dragging out the process again. Now you don't want to fight Wilder because of, quote unquote, he said certain things about your people or whatever. But then Wilder takes it to arbitration legally. If it's signed in the contract, Fury had to honor that contract. And at the same time, he's acting like he's going to fight Anthony Joshua at that time. But knowing very well he was already contracted to fight Wilder anyway. So you knew you was going to be fighting Wilder. And you knew you weren't going to get out of that unless you paid him some type of step-aside money and it was some type of agreement. So once again, you can see the way Tyson Fury is very meticulous and very strategic in the way he plays it, like I said, the way he plays his hand, right? So now, you're claiming you come out of retirement and you want a Usyk fight, but we as boxing fans, most of us say we want to see something fresh. We want to see you fight Anthony Joshua, especially to my family over there in the UK, my boxing family over there in Europe. Y'all want to see Fury versus Anthony Joshua, flat out. You ain't trying to see Usyk. You ain't trying to see a Wilder 4. You're not trying to see a Chisora 4. You want to see an opponent that he's never fought. But a lot of people are also saying they feel like Fury could never live it down if he lost against Anthony Joshua. Because right now, he can still claim the right to be the top and the best British fighter. Because Usyk is not from Britain. He's from Ukraine. So he can still say, I'm the best British fighter that ever was. But should he lose to AJ if they did fight, he wouldn't have that bragging right anymore. So I think Tyson Fury only fights certain opponents that their style suits his style. Chisora, fight him a third time, that suited his style. Tom Schwartz, that suited Tyson Fury's style. Hence him in there doing all that crazy stuff, you know what I mean? Like all that body movement and showboating. He could do that with Schwartz because he knew he was fighting a lower tier opponent. He's not going to be acting crazy like that when he's fighting Usyk. And when he did try to showboat with Usyk, we saw him get nailed and almost knocked out. So that being said, we need to see AJ versus Fury. And Fury needs to stop the cap. He needs to stop the cap and go ahead and step in there and fight AJ. I don't care if they fight just one time. It ain't got to be a multi-fight situation. It don't have to be a trilogy or a 2-fight deal. I just want to see you fight AJ one time. Because I feel like AJ is going to knock you out and that AJ would win. I felt like that forever and I'm not changing my stance on that. You might see it differently. Let me know in the chat, please. All right, you said, shout out to Sam Morales. You said rematch talk is cheap. For sure, for sure. Des Scobie, you said Usyk said He's in negotiations for a fight early next year. Hey, my dude Jack Loney, I see you made it. Shout out to you, brother. Um, Boxing source. Usyk is not fighting Wardley. If he's not fighting Intuma, he's not fighting Wardley. Oh man, it's very interesting there, bro. A very interesting perspective. We're gonna definitely keep our eyes and ears close as things start to unravel. And that's what I like about boxing. It's always some type of mystery or cryptic something there, and you're like, what's gonna happen next, man? Is what they say gonna happen, or does it kind of go like this, and then all of a sudden it kind of veers off way over here? You know what I mean? Boxing has a way of slipping the rug under situations in the blink of an eye. That's what you get with boxing. You kind of don't know what you have until them two guys are actually doing their ring walk and walking towards that ring. Descoby, you said Wardley versus Cabiel for Universal #1 contender. I would like that fight for sure. That's a good style matchup right there, bro. Jack Lowney, you said I agree. Descoby, as soon as Wardley slows down, Usyk puts him in the dirt. I absolutely concur all day on that statement. That's exactly what's going to happen. You know, just like when they get into the fight or whatever, if that fight does transpire, it's just a matter of time. As they go down the stretch, mid rounds to the championship rounds, Usyk's going to turn all the way up. Jack Lowney, Usyk will stop Wardley mid rounds. That's my feeling, man. He'll probably stop him like 7 or 8 rounds. Des Scobie, you said Breedis, Michael Hunter, and Chisora. The boxing source, you said that Des Scobie, Wardley versus Cabiel is likely to happen. I like that matchup there, man. I like that. Wardley versus Cabiel. That would definitely be a good fight. Des Scobie, Fury lost due to the fact he couldn't mentally disrupt Usyk. That's a good point now. He likes to have that mental edge, and he definitely could never break Usyk. Usyk wasn't falling for the mind games. All that rolled off his back like water on a duck's back. It just rolled right off of there. Des Scobie, Moses Intuma is illegitimate. Jack Lowney, you said Intuma has a lot of potential, but he needs top 10 names on his resume first. For sure. Well, what do you think about Moses Intuma versus Frazier Clark, Big Frage? After Frazier Clark, if he ends up fighting the fight that got postponed with Jamie TKV. If that fight still happens, maybe the winner can fight Moses Intuma. And then you still got guys like Lawrence Okoli, which a lot of people say he's a boring fighter, but he's out there. The other guy that had the real tough fight a few weeks ago, and I cannot think of his name right now. Lawrence Okoli. David Adelaide. David Adelaide's out there too. Des Scobie, light switch, left hook. Des Scobie, you said Big Baby Miller throws 40 to 50 punches around. Shout outs to Adam. What's up, Adam? You said Parker shouldn't have been waved off, but props to Wardley for pulling it off. I like that statement, man. I like that statement. So there's a couple of guys here that are saying the fight will stop prematurely, but then it's a couple of you who are okay with the ref's discretion. So it's kind of one of them things that, hey, some are there to say one thing and some are there to say the opposing thing. And that's what makes this so cool, man, because we all think differently about different things. And it was a controversial stop, but hey, some of you stand by the ref, and some of you don't stand for the ref decision. But in conclusion, it is what it is, right? The ref, he did what he did, so Wardley is a winner, right? All right, Jack Loney. Usyk legacy has been cemented. Any wins afterwards is just a bonus. I could rock with that statement, mate, because Usyk he's something special, man. He's something special. I mean, and I was leery when he first stepped into the heavyweight division, because you remember all those heavyweights were warning him. Dillian White, Deontay Wilder, they say you need to stay as a cruiserweight. You don't need to come up here with these big boys. And it was miraculous. Not only did he step up from cruiserweight to fighting the modern day giants of the heavyweight division, he was able to beat them. He was pretty much able to clear out the top guys over there in UK, over in Britain. So you got to give him his props, man. You got to give Usyk his props. And if he fights Fabio Wardley by some chance, that would just be another British fighter notch under his belt. Cousin Scoob, you said, what's happening? Hey, cuzzo, I'm just having a good time with y'all, man. Chopping it up. Talking about the landscape of boxing, man. Jack Lowney, you said, I think Parker should fight the winner of Dubois versus Sanchez. And speaking of Michael Hunter, Scobie, Dead Scobie, you had mentioned him. Initially, he was going to fight Kubrat Pulev. Whatever happened to Kubrat Pulev? I know there was a lot of stuff going on with Don King and some different things. Do you know what actually happened? Is that fight just postponed, or is that fight not going to happen now? Because Michael Hunter, I feel like he's a good fighter. He just never gets to get a shot at at some of these top heavyweight fighters. Jack, you said, I think Parker should fight the winner of Dubois versus Sanchez. Ooh, I like that. I like that right there, bro. Yeah, you just said something there, mate. Because as we saw, Parker, he can hang with the best of them. Now, the question is something that me and Des Scobat talked about in our chat was, will Sanchez be fully healed? I think he had like a leg or a knee injury. So Sanchez, what makes him special is the fact that he is the Cuban Flash. And the reason why he's the Cuban Flash, he's from Cuba, but he's a mover. You know, we saw that with Efe Ajagba. He was able to beat him fairly easy by his movement, his ring IQ, and just beating him to the punch, you know, in and out. So if Sanchez is at the right fighting weight and he's fully healthy, Sanchez is going to give a problem to a lot of these guys out here. I like Frank Sanchez, and I can see him beating Dubois if he's healthy. If Sanchez, mobility wise, and he can move like he needs to, he will outbox Dubois. He might even stop him late. Des Scobie, remember Parker finished Bacoli with one punch in round 2 or 3. So I understand why he thought he could get Wardley out the same. Yeah, but here's the thing though. I can see what you're saying, that he thought he could get him out the same, but Bacoli was on a last minute notice, so he didn't really have a full training camp. He came in there in terrible fighting shape, and Bacoli was knocked out, like you said, in 2 or 3 rounds. Whereas Fabio Wardley, it was already established that he was fighting Parker. So unlike Bacoli, he had a full training camp. He came in fighting shape. So all the things that Bacoli didn't do or did not address, they were addressed by Fabio Wardley. Des Scobie, you said Usyk and Loma are ballet and gymnastic in their training, and that's what makes them special, man. They move like water, man. They really flow and they move the way they move on their feet, man. It's something special, man. Des Scobie, you said Fury resume, Cunningham, Vlad, Otto, Wilder, White, Chisora, and Usyk. Out of that resume of Fury, Cunningham is pretty good, but being that Fury knew he was a much smaller fighter, cruiserweight, Fury was able to use his size mid rounds after being beat every round on the scorecards. He eventually started using his sitting on his punches and using his size. So Cunningham is a good win, but I wouldn't say it's a great win. And then Vlad was age 39 at the time, so he wasn't prime. He was still dangerous, but he wasn't a prime Vlad Klitschko. Otto Wallen, he's an average level fighter. Wilder is of course not what I consider elite, but he can really, really punch, of course. Wilder does have an equalizer, so that's his niche in the heavyweight division. White in his prime was very cagey and very cagey and very dangerous, but White, by the time Fury had fought him, he had already been knocked out by AJ and Alexander Povetkin. So his chin resistance has definitely been on the decline. And then recently, Moses Ntuma. So, yeah. But I would say Usyk is obviously the best fight on Fury's resume because Usyk was prime, and Usyk was top level as far as fundamentals and skills. He was all the way well-rounded defensively and offensively. Des Scobie, AJ versus Fury is equivalent to Lennox Lewis versus Frank Bruno. Yeah, in some ways, yeah. Yeah, in some ways. I feel like Fury moves a little bit better than Lennox Lewis, but if we had a fantasy matchup with Lennox Lewis versus Fury, I'd definitely take Lennox Lewis to stop Fury. Joseph Harker, you said, I agree. AJ is the biggest fight for him. He doesn't deserve a third fight with Usyk. This was the old problem that I think we've moved away from now. Oh, absolutely, man. It needs to happen, man. And people need to put pressure on him. I can see the demeanor of Frank Warren. It looks like he's saying, oh, he wants how he talks. Tyson wants a fight with, a third fight with Usyk. This, that, the other. As far as AJ, we're not going to sit around and wait on Anthony Joshua. It's like they're making every excuse to maneuver around Anthony Joshua. And they know it's going to be a sellout at Wembley or whatever. They know the fans, the true boxing fans like me and the purists, we want to see it. We don't care if it happens late. Just like we wanted to see Kell Brook and Amir Khan years ago. Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. It should have happened years prior. Mike Tyson versus Holyfield. It should have happened years prior. So some fights happen late, but I'd rather fights happen late than to never not happen at all. If you get my drift. That's just me as a boxing fan. And secondly, it would just be a bad look for Anthony Joshua. Because to me, I felt like he always wanted Wilder and Fury, but the narrative is going to be, if he doesn't fight either guy, they're going to say, in the history of Anthony Joshua, this is the guy that never fought Deontay Wilder, and he never fought Fury, and he ducked these guys. So I at least need for Anthony Joshua to be able to fight Fury, because should he stop Fury, which I feel like he has the capability of doing so, he could at least have one up on Wilder to say, we both fought the common opponent, Fury. Fury beat you 3 times, or twice, and then a draw. But I was able to knock out Fury and do something you never could have done. That would be a good bragging right for Anthony Joshua. Jack Lowney, you said, to be honest, if Fury has the right training camp and his mind clear and set on AJ, he could definitely dismantle AJ. Boxing Source, Fury versus AJ in Wembley by July. Man, I hope whatever you're putting in the atmosphere by saying what you're saying, I hope it comes into fruition, my brother. Because sometimes when you put or plant seeds out there, they do blossom. So I'm thinking, by you saying that, bro, that might just happen, man. Fingers crossed. Fury versus AJ in 2026. Because if it don't happen in 2026, then it's never going to happen. It needs to happen next year for sure. It needs to happen. Jack Lowney, you said Moses Natuma would knock out Clark 3 to 4 rounds. He would knock out Frazier Clark, I feel. So I think the more formidable and more suitable opponent for Moses Natuma would be that of Big Baby Miller. Because Big Baby Miller, he's going to give him rounds. And he's going to keep coming in. You know, he's going to keep coming forward. He's going to keep putting pressure on Moses Natuma. So it would then be a situation, does Moses Natuma have enough punch power to stop Big Baby Miller, or can he even drop Big Baby Miller? I mean, that'll be something to see, right? Des Scobie, you said Ntoma versus top 10 only. Yes, sir. I like that notion. Joseph Harker, you said Wardley had no big names on his resume before Parker. Your resume doesn't always matter. I mean, it don't always matter, but it has to hold some weight, if you see what I'm saying, Joseph Harker. Because how is it that you can be a person to fight all these low tier fighters? Say, for instance, you fought 40 low tier fighters, and then eventually at fight 40, you step up and fight a couple of 2 or 3 top contenders. That is what it is. You fought 2 or 3 notable names and 40 other names that were low level opponents. That's not a good resume. But it will look good as a record, because you could say that I knocked out 40 people that were really no names. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it has to be some type of balance in that equation, if that makes sense. Jack Lowney, you said, I think Ntuma will beat everyone bar Fury or Usyk. Interesting, man. I mean, but I get it, though. I get it. You say, Joseph Harker, definitely early stoppage. The refs done it before. I accept the loss, but it was a good controversial stoppage, which just kills such a good fight. Yeah, it does, because it was a lot at stake, man. You know, that was for everything right there. And Joseph Parker, he had been winning all these fights for this moment, you know. And like I said, he really didn't even have to fight Fabio Wardley. But knowing Joseph Parker, he's such a warrior's mentality. He's going to fight whoever they choose for him, or even if he chooses an opponent, he's not going to just choose a gimme fight. He wants a challenge, and I think this time, he might have bit off more than he could chew, so to speak. But it is what it is. Dead Scobie, you said drop the link. I got info. Pulev versus Gassiev for WBA regular title. Hey, can you drop that link? We got a link coming for you in a second, Dead Scobie. Dez, you said Bacoli was already in camp for the FA Jabba fight. He had set up a few months after the Parker fight. Adam, you said Wardley's a beast. Already in camp. You said Wardley's a beast. He could surprise Usyk. He could. He's going to always have a puncher's chance, man. But, come on. Justice Huni was outboxing Fabio Wardley the whole fight and got caught. Justice Huni is not even close to the level of Usyk. So Usyk, the way he moves, is going to be that much more defining than the movement of Justice Huni. Michael Ware, you said, thanks for saying that, Eugene. We all know Bacoli wasn't prepared. He wore his trunks from the fight before. He he flew from Congo on less than 3 days' notice. Boxing Source, you said, yeah, Pulev versus Gassiev is scheduled for December 12th. Okay. I can't wait for that one, too. That's going to be a good one. Jack Loney, Moses and Tuma will punish Miller for sure. Absolutely. Getting rounds in and having a target practice all at the same time. All right. So while Diz is going to be jumping on here soon, let me read off a few more things that I got here for y'all guys. Oh, also too, shout outs to In Your Face Magazine. Shout outs to my cousin Trill, Kev, and all the family in the chat room for the empowerment here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Also, shout outs to my guys at Ozzy's Catering here in Cincinnati, Ohio. If you use Ozzy's Catering, please tell him Ring Walk Boxing Podcast sent you. Big shout outs to my Zone 15 family. Shout out Cincinnati, Ohio. And also, Scobie, hold on 1 second, bro. Also, in the description area, we have the merch. So we have the hats, different colors, the shirts. If you're in the Midwest, East Coast of America, or in areas where it's cold, a colder region over in parts of Europe and stuff, we got the hoodies and things like that. So make sure that you, if you want to support the channel, grab some merch. You can also donate to the channel, Ring Walk Boxing Podcast. Uh, you said to me, or should I use the one in the chat? The same one. Hold on 1 second, Scope. All right. Also with the Sebastian Fundora fight that was originally scheduled with Keith Thurman, October 25th, that fight had been postponed due to injury of Sebastian Fundora. On that card, we also had Frank Martin versus Francis Bartholomew. So let's speak hypothetically because this fight has been postponed, but let's speak in a hypothetical sense. Frank Martin versus Francis Bartholomew. What would be your prediction? Also, if we do get the fight, Sebastian Fundora versus Keith Thurman, being if Sebastian Fundora is healed from his injury in the next couple months, what is your prediction? Keith Thurman versus Sebastian Fundora. Okay, hold on 1 second. All right. All right, man. Can you hear me? Hold on. Oh, maybe that's what it is. Hold on, let me check my volume. Okay, I think I can hear you. Speak now. No, no, I don't hear you now. Hold on. Let me make sure my Bluetooth is working. Hold on. Okay, you there? Hmm. Connected. Hold on 1 second, man. Let me try to. I think I got it. Huh? Yeah, I did. I'm going to go to my setting and make sure my Bluetooth is connected. Yeah, it says connected. Yeah. I got the vacuum by the way. Oh, that's why. That button. Okay. All right. You there, bro? Okay. I can hear you clear now. I think I had my mute on. All right. What's going on, my dude? Cool. I want to know a little bit about both. Okay. Mm-hmm.
He's using his physical tools a lot better than when he did when he fought Mendoza, when he fought, Lubin, and even when he fought Zhu the first time. I will always give Tim Zhu's team the blame for the loss of the first fight because all they had to do was, hey, accidental cut, he can't continue, he can't see, we're going to the cards.
Okay.
I
Yeah, that
think they
makes sense.
didn't do that because first show on Amazon, pay-per-view, and this was the substitute main event. So I think Tim Zhu was trying to do a favor for PBC by seeing the entire main event through to the end, which eventually hurt him. And he's still paying the price for it now.
Mm.
I
Right.
think Thurman I want to bet my money on Thurman because he's a counterpuncher. He still has his power at 154, which is very interesting to say the least. I always thought Thurman was a manufactured welterweight power puncher. And when I say that is, I always say there's two types of power in boxing. There's power you get from cutting an excess amount of weight. And then there's natural God-given light switch power. Keith, as we've seen, has natural God-given light switch power that carries up. So I think that Thurman, if he catches Fundora enough, he should be able to get him out of there because Thurman has one of the best killer instincts when he gets the guy hurt.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, on the other hand, Thurman is 36. He'll be pushing 37 by the time the fight happens. He can get old in the middle of the fight. And the fact that he hasn't been active at all, you know what I'm saying, for the last, since 2017.
Well, didn't he fight the Australian?
Well, here's the thing. He had one fight in 2017, two fights in 2018, Josito Lopez and Manny Pacquiao. Then he didn't fight for 2 years, fought Barrios, didn't fight again for 2 years, and then fought, the Aussie
Australian
guy.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
Aussie. All right. So yeah, he had a lot of big gaps.
So I
Yeah, big
think
gaps in
that
between these fights.
sometimes it helps you, sometimes it hurts you. Sometimes guys need to stay active to keep that rhythm and ebb and flow in their abilities. But some guys do better when they get a break because their body can heal up. And I think it might help Thurman because he's been dealing with injuries for a decade. Like, he was injured when he fought Porter, so he had to take time off after that fight. He got injured after the Danny Garcia fight, so he had to take time off of that. Got injured during the Pacquiao fight, took time off of that. Got injured after the Barrios fight, so took time off for that. So I think that stuff might eventually catch up to him due to him not being active enough and keeping that boxing muscles fresh. That's just my opinion.
Right. I'll respect your
Frank
opinion for
Martin
sure.
versus
You be drop some stuff.
Frank Martin versus Hansis Barthélemy is a fight that mainly helps Frank more than Hansis. Hansis, most people don't know, is the former undefeated 2-division world champion before he took his first L. He was like 30, he was like 31-0 or something. It was like 25 or 26-0 by the time he took his first L, but he already been a champion at 126 and 130. A lot of people don't know. No, 130 and 135. A lot of people don't know that. So Hansis is always dangerous. Hansis is always dangerous, coming from that Cuban style, aggressive, strong left hand. But he's old, and he shows it.
Well, let me ask you this, bro, because we're speaking about Francis. Who was the fight that he had? And it was kind of a controversial stoppage. Wasn't that Russell?
That was Russell. Hansis was the first guy to hurt Russell. Hansis kind of figured out, okay, he's a volume puncher. Yeah, and Antoine, yeah. Gary Antoine, yeah, because they're all named Gary, all of them. Like, they're all like George Foreman.
Like George Foreman, yeah, all the same name.
Yeah, even the girl's Georgetta, like. But yeah, so Hansis figured out, let me punch with him. No one's punching with him. Let me punch with him and see what happens. And he actually caught and hurt Russell multiple times in that fight. And then Russell kind of altered his style a bit, started taking a back step. He would feint, take a back step to let Hansis throw the shot. So Russell would feint, let Hansis open himself up with the left hand, back step, and then follow through with combinations with the opening gap.
I'm gonna go watch that fight again tonight.
And then that's what allowed him to find the inside range to layer up combinations to get the stoppage. I thought it was an early stoppage myself because Hansis was still conscious, aware, defending, moving. Like, he was trying to hug. He was trying to hug, but
Right.
Gary wasn't letting
Yeah.
him.
Won't let him clinch him. Right.
So yeah, Gary is good. Gary is really good. I'm not 100% sold on Gary because he has inconsistent lapses in his ability at times. Where sometimes Gary seems like he what's the word? I got this. I ain't got to worry about him. And that hurt him in the. People forget he's not undefeated. He lost to Puello. He lost to Alberto Puello. And Puello was a 140-pound champion, two-time 140-pound champion. And Puello's one of those really frustrating guys who figures out a way to win. All of his title wins are split decisions. All of them are split or majority decisions.
Yeah. Puello.
So Puello knows how to fight, but Puello leaves room for you to take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? Like Puello fights hard the championship rounds to secure the victories. I always said, if Puello comes against somebody who's just as active as he is, but has no fear of what he can do, that's when he's going to lose. And that's what happened when he fought Subriel Matias. Subriel Matias said, you may throw a lot of punches, but you can't hurt me.
Okay, so
I throw a lot of punches and hurt people. So we'll see how this goes about. And the only reason Subriel won that fight is because of the eye test. When you got one guy coming forward throwing 30, 40 punches around and another guy moving around throwing 30, 40 punches around, who the judge is going to give it most likely to? The aggressive fighter. They're going to give it to the aggressive guy.
Well, I got a question too, because I know you dig real deep. So some of the things I was kind of collecting was I looked at the interview. So shout outs to Counterpunch Boxing, Kurt DeVille. He had an interview with Michael Hunter a few months ago. And Michael Hunter kept talking about Don King and the I don't know if it was a cease and desist or some type of terminology.
Don King.
But what happened with that and Pulev?
TKO set up TKO has set up a purse bid. Not a purse bid. I'm sorry. They sent an offer letter to Don King Promotions. Not Don King. They sent it to Michael. From what I've heard, they sent it straight to Michael. And Michael accepted the fight, but then Don was like, hold on. Who's promoting this? What's going on? Asking a whole bunch of questions. And then I have legal rights to all of your fights while you're under me. So no fight that you have can happen without my say-so. That's pretty much what Don King did. And so he used his contract with Michael Hunter to take it to TKO and the commission and pretty much tell them, unless they're going to cut me in 50-50, they can't use Michael. They can't use him. So that's how Michael ended up out of that fight. And Pulev and his team reached out to former unified cruiserweight champion Murat Gassiev, who fought Usyk in the World Boxing Super Series back in, I think that was 2015, that was like 2016. No, it was like 2018, 2019 when they fought. And it was in the finals. So that's how that fight's happening now. Hunter being aligned with Don King is pretty much, it's like an unwritten rule in boxing right now. If you're with Don King, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You literally have to become the #1 mandatory to force your way into a championship fight. Sort of like how Trevor Bryant became regular champion. And that was crazy to me how Don King almost had a fighter fighting for the undisputed heavyweight championship in the modern era. Like that almost, if Trevor Bryant had beat Daniel Dubois, that we were going to see Bryant versus Usyk. That's the funniest thing to me, that Don King is still in the game with top 10 contenders.
Right. Now, what do you think about the strategy and the game plan of Joseph Parker when he did fight Fabio Wardley? Like, what did you see him go wrong even before he stepped into the fight?
I'm more experienced. I'm the former champion. I fought the more experienced guys. I fought more world champions. So there's no way I lose this. That's where he went wrong.
Right. That makes sense.
He went into this fight pretty much thinking, I got this in the bag. This guy has no idea what he's getting himself into. I done been there, done that, and I'm trying to do it again. And didn't I say this in the chat on Whelp? I had mentioned that Parker has done this twice already. When he lost his belt to AJ, and then he lost to White, he fought like 3 or 4 times. He fought AJ, fought 4 fights in a row, got to top 5, lost to White, had to start over again, won 4 fights in a row again, became interim, lost to Joyce when he didn't have to fight Joe. He could have just waited until Usyk, but he a warrior. He said, I want him.
Warrior. Yep.
We saw what happened. Dude was picking himself up off the ground by round 11. And I lost like $200 on that fight. I bet 200 on Parker to win. I'm all like, Usyk, Joe is too damn slow. He too slow. No defense, no head movement. But that wrecking ball found a way. In his mindset, he got hit by Parker, realized, oh, you can't hurt me. And pretty much bulldozed Parker for the rest of the fight. Parker fights Joyce now, Parker wins. But at that time, no. Now Parker put him snap. This dude he wins another 4 fights, tough fights, puts himself in position again for a title shot as interim champion, wins the same belt he lost, and makes the same mistake. I ain't waiting around. I'm gonna stay active.
And fight somebody like a Fabio Wardley.
And now he's back in the same position he was literally 2 years ago, looking around, damn, now I got to start over again at 35.
Such a triumphant, thing when it comes
now,
to...
the way the heavyweight scene is, though, there are a lot of moving parts. You know what I'm saying? There are the top 5, really the top 7 is just a crunchy roll of fighters. From Caballero to Parker to now Wardley to Ariel to Hergovich to Zhang. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, anybody can pretty much become the number 1 contender at this point, outside of like maybe Caballero. And I'm just stuck on Caballero because he's the only heavyweight right now fighting with a Usyk type of vibe. He's the only heavyweight boxing. He's the only heavyweight outside of Usyk.
Bro, I feel like once Parker does, well, not Parker, but once Usyk does hang up the gloves, it's going to be up for grabs. Because to me, Usyk is such a unique specimen in his style that once that style is no longer prevalent, you're going to have all these other guys. You're going to have the Caballero. You're going to have Fury. You're going to have AJ. You're going to have
you know who could actually beat? You know who could beat Usyk and people don't want to even like talk about? Like people don't want to think about it like that. Do you know what former heavyweight champion in the 2000s could actually beat Usyk?
In the 2000s, in the Klitschko era.
Yeah. Because people think that the Klitschko era was just ran by those Ukrainians. No. We had 2 American heavyweight champions from 2000 to 2009. Only 2, but we did have 2. But only one of them can actually beat Usyk. We had 3. I'm sorry, we had 3. You're right. We had Lamont Brewster. We had Shannon the Cannon Briggs. And Chris Rapid Fire Bird. Chris Bird could beat Usyk, in my opinion, because he is the only heavyweight in the last, 50 years to be boxing first. No power, you know what I'm saying? Just boxing. Southpaw, fast hands, fast feet, elusive defense, and Bird knew how to fight when he had to fight. And you got to think about it. Bird was only 6'2", but he fought both the Klitschkos. He fought Andrew Galata. He fought Jamil McCline. He fought Devera Williamson. You know what I'm saying? Like he fought Abiabuchi. He fought David Tua.
The president.
So Chris Bird, in my opinion, could beat Usyk because Usyk's never seen that style. He's never seen someone that fights like him.
Right, in the southpaw.
The southpaw, the movement, the elusiveness, the IQ, the craftiness. You know what I'm saying? So Caballero has a chance because he's the only one that's boxing first. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he could beat Usyk. I'm saying he's the only one that can make it close enough to where people be like, we need a rematch. That was close. That was a majority decision. That was a split decision. We need a rematch.
I'll tell you who else would be interesting against Caballero after he has a few more top fights. Moses and Tuma. Let him get a couple of these top 10 contender guys under his belt. He'd be looking real good against Caballero.
That, like I said, but that's it. I don't think Moses catches up to Caballero anytime soon due to the fact of unless they throw Caballero a whole bunch of money, Caballero's a little bit smarter than Parker because Caballero's like, you know what? If no one's available right now, I ain't gonna make nobody available. I'll just go to Germany, have a hometown fight, and wait until another legitimate top 5 threat is available or until Usyk is available.
And one thing I noticed, like you say, Caballero, he doesn't come off like Joseph Parker. He doesn't sit back and say, I'ma just fight anybody. He'll kind of sit back and just wait it out.
People forget Caballero beat Chisora when Chisora was a top 5 ranked fighter. Like, that's how Caballero got on the map. Like, they had a fight in Monte Carlo randomly on the zone, and I'm like, who the hell is this Caballero guy? And he beat Chisora. He beat Chisora more convincingly than Usyk did.
Okay.
Like they both got a majority decision, but Caballero never seemed uncomfortable at all fighting Chisora. Even when Chisora was in his face, like right here, Caballero just maintained that cool, calm demeanor and operated like it was another day in the office.
Yeah. He acted like that when he fought Zane.
And I just kept my eye on him. I'm like, you know what? Sometimes in the heavyweight division, you get fights like this where just a random contender beats a top contender, and that be that. You know what I'm saying? Sort of like how Guido beat that Russian dude Akhmadov.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so, in my opinion, like Caballero, if he were to fight Wardley, he's only fighting Wardley on his terms. Like, he's not going to allow Wardley he's not even going to allow Wardley enough time in the pocket to do his damage. Because here's the thing. I don't think Wardley should fight Caballero because Caballero's going to go to that body. And I call Wardley a 7-round fighter because he only fights in spurts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he will fight the first 2 rounds, take 2 rounds off. Fight rounds 5 and 6, take 2 rounds off. Fight rounds 8 and 9, take 2 rounds off. You know what I'm saying? He only fights in spurts. He if someone puts it on him from round 1, he's gonna be gassed out by round 6. Like, if someone just put, like, if Wardley fought Miller, he'd be in trouble because Miller's gonna put that pace on him. He's going to be in his face. He's going to throw 40, 50 punches at him and just work him body, head.
Now, another fight that might happen probably early next year. And AJ and Magmadov. Because Magmadov was, remember, after he beat Dave Allen, he said, you know, he came at AJ with respect. But he was like, hey, brother, are we still on?
How can I put this with AJ? AJ, even after the Usyk losses and the Ruiz loss, you can tell his confidence wasn't really shaken. He just kind of took the losses on the chin and just kept it moving. You know what I'm saying? I think the Dubois fight fucked him over, like mentally and emotionally. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. He's literally been the British heavyweight for what, a decade? Like, he's been the number one British heavyweight for a decade. And then he fights this guy, Dubois, who's quit twice at this point.
Right.
And he's like, and not only does he lose, he loses in a highlight reel fashion.
Yeah.
Like I told someone, I said they will be replaying that Dubois win for a long time because of just the epicness of that victory. You know what I'm saying? Like, you literally slayed the British Dragon of the heavyweight division. You knocked him out cold, stiff. No one expected that from Dubois. Nobody. And I think that has affected AJ, because in his mindset, if I come back and lose again, I'm done. It's over. And I don't think that's because I just think that's just how he feels emotionally, really, and mentally. That if he does come back and take a L, whether it be a top 5 guy, a top 10 guy, I think he's losing his love for the game at this point.
All right. Well, I got a couple more topics. So what about let's talk a little bit about the Riyadh card. Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noakes, November 22nd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
Abdullah picked himself off the ground in that fight. I'm not saying he's going to be helped up, but he's definitely going to be seeing a 1, 2, 3 at some point in that fight, whether it be a standing 8 or he gets dropped, because Sam Noakes understands his punching power distance. He understands this is the range I can hurt you. This is the range I cannot hurt you. And he operates on that aspect only. And the fact that he understands his leverage range is going to be a problem, because he understands distance. He understands range. He understands timing. And Abdullah is known to get reckless.
Yeah, he can get a little bit.
And who knows? Abdullah says, I don't like when fighters say this because it makes them look very bad, in my opinion. But Abdullah said in an interview with Ring Magazine about the Sam Noakes fight and his other performances, Abdullah said, I've only fought at 75%. In the Noakes fight, I'm going to be full 100. And I'm like, I don't like the sound of that. Because you done kind of went life and death with a couple guys that you shouldn't have. And if that's because you didn't go full tilt, then that means you fight up and down to your competition.
Right.
And that's just an upset waiting to happen, whether it be now or later. Look at Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
Look at Jaron Ennis. I even told him, I said Jaron Ennis is going to have a loss on his record at some point, because he's going to go into a fight thinking shit's too sweet, and he's going to get he's going to get upset. He's going to get shooken up. He'll win the rematch.
You kind of
because that's how Boots is.
Right. You kind of went a little bit ahead. I wanted to touch on that. Since we're talking about that, let me ask you this then. Since we're talking about him. Is Boots in his career and resume under scrutiny unfair, or is it justifiable?
50-50. He has a resume equivalent to like a Vernon Forrest. After Vernon beat Shane twice. So like Vernon had like 30-something fights, but nobody wanted to fight him at 147. Nobody. So he had a fight for the vacant belt. And when he won that belt, he dropped the IBF welterweight belt and immediately fought Shane Mosley. And if you looked at Vernon Forrest's record leading up to the Shane fight, you're thinking he can't beat Shane. He ain't fought nobody like Shane. You know what I'm saying? But he showed up. And that's kind of like, and Vernon did that too. Vernon kind of fought up and down to the level of his competition. The Mayorga fights, the Corey Spink fight, the Sergio Mora fight. So I think Boots is like a modern day Vernon Forrest, and that's a great comparison because Vernon was dope. Rest in peace, Vernon Forrest. But I think Boots' resume is okay. The only real names he has on his resume are Emantia Stanionis for this unification fight. Everybody else, we kind of knew he was gonna. We knew he was gonna beat Lipinets. We knew he was gonna beat Thomas Delorme. We knew he was gonna beat Chris Van Heerden. We knew he was gonna beat Ruben Villa. And to be honest, that Ruben Villa fight was supposed to be him versus Rashidi Ellis, but Rashidi lost. So that's what happened with that. Oh, okay. But I think Jaron's resume is it's average. It's nothing to be like, oh my God, about. It's not a Bam Rodriguez resume or a Sean Porter resume. But the fact that he has an 88% knockout rating shows that he's getting them out of there. So that helps. If he was going the distance like a lot with these guys, then yeah, he'd have a lot more scrutiny. But he's getting them out of there.
Okay. A few more things I want to touch on. So what about now that Devin Haney recently moved up to 147, the Brian Norman Jr. fight.
Man, Devin Haney cut up like a bag of coke. Devin Haney look cut up like a bag of coke right now. What?
Right.
He is in excellent shape right now, and he looks great in training. He looks great right now. He looks in training camp. He looks sharp. He's keeping that left hand. He's keeping that right hand up. He's keeping it up he's keeping his phone on the line. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. This fight is going to
people overlooking Brian Norman. You think they overlooking?
Yeah, but that's because Americans don't know who Brian is. That's why.
I mean, they just like kind of had a effect, like Tank to an extent. They're just like,
no,
he just got power.
No, it's because it's because, in my opinion, Brian won his belt in a cool but weird way. Okay, when he won the interim WBO welterweight championship from Giovanni Santillan in San Diego, Giovanni's from San Diego. So that was supposed to be a homecoming fight for Giovanni. That was supposed to be a homecoming showcase fight for Giovanni. You know what I'm saying? And Brian came in and said, I didn't get that memo. And so since he was an unknown entity, you know what I'm saying? And then Top Rank is known for finding these random top 15 fighters for their champions. Like Top Rank is known for just finding these random top 15 guys. PBC is known for it too, but Top Rank especially. So I think people automatically assume Brian Norman is just some, what's the word? Like a standard black fighter. You know what I'm saying? Not realizing what he really was. And then when he beat Giovanni the way he did, you know how American fans are, they kind of automatically, okay, well, if we don't know if Brian is unknown and he just knocked out this guy, then that guy wasn't that good to begin with.
Right. Okay. So
right now, what's up?
Hey, Skull. I don't want to hold the show out a lot longer, but there's two more things I want to talk about kind of quickly though, because KMJ got Brian Norman Sr. on his show. So
I'm hopping on live as soon as we done. I'm hopping on as soon as we done.
Okay. So last two things, real quick. David Benavidez versus Anthony Yarde. Just who wins?
David says
real quickly.
Whew, oh man, that's a fight. Like that's a real fight.
The way I see it, the early rounds look better for Yarde. I'm just concerned about his bulk. You know what I'm saying? That he would tire down the stretch.
The bulk. I mean, you talking about like Yarde's gas tank?
Yeah, because of his muscle mass.
Okay, so Yard's gas tank problem, in my opinion, isn't due to his muscle mass. His gas tank is due to the fact that he's a combo puncher only. He only throws like three,
Right.
4, 5 punches. Right. That's it. And the fact that that's what he only throws hard and fast, that's what causes him to gas because he likes to fight. You know what I'm saying? When he fought Kovalev, it worked versus Kovalev because Kovalev doesn't fight at a high pace. But when he fought Beterbiev is a monster, a maniac. And Yard try to fight fire with fire. You know what I'm saying? And you can't do that with Beterbiev. So
Right.
I don't know what I think it all depends. Yard's success depends on how David's game plan is. David says he's going in there to fight Yard how he did Plant and Darrell. He's not gonna box him like he did Morrell. And I think if David's going in there not using his physical advantages, that's going to leave him open to getting clipped. Because in Yard's mind, he got nothing to lose. I done already lost to Kovalev. I already went life and death with Kovalev. I done went life and death with Beterbiev. It's no, if I lose to you, it's no big deal. I done already fought the best of the best.
Yeah, that's a good way you broke that down.
Getting knocked out by you is nothing worse or less than getting beat up by Kovalev or Beterbiev.
That's real talk, man. All right, man. Well, it looks like Brian Norman Sr. is still on there, so we're gonna close this one off. Thanks for coming through, bro. And we'll chop it up again next week. You already know.
All right, salute Ringwalk Boxing Talk.
Salute. All right, y'all. We had a very good discussion with my young brother out of Texas, Des Scobie. He's like a boxing almanac. He's very young, but he would consider himself a boxing nerd. He loves it in every aspect. And he breaks down the little fine, minuscule points. So I always love when he's on the show. Because if it's something I missed, kind of like when you're carrying a whole bunch of stuff in two arms and you drop something and that person picks it off the ground for you, he's like that guy that's going to find the smallest little detail and break it down when it comes to boxing. As y'all saw, he went deep with everything he was talking about with the Gassiev and Pulev, what happened with Don King's situation. He touched on all that. That being said, I appreciate everybody who came here. For those who come late, tomorrow or next week, please always hit the thumbs up button, even if you play it back. Also, hype up the video. Share this on your social media. Tell a friend or three. You know? Ringwalk Boxing Podcast. And the link is in the description area for the clothing line and things of that nature and the donation. So, I want everybody to have a blessed, safe night, and I will catch you on the next round. Peace.